happened so fast, nobody in town saw it coming. A wealthy young man, dressed sharp in his designer suit, wheeled his own mother, frail, gray-haired, wrapped in nothing but a thin shawl, right to the edge of Blackwood Cliff. The rocks dropped straight into the roaring river below, churning violently against jagged stones that had claimed many lives before. He leaned in close, smiling coldly, and whispered something only she could hear. Words dripping with venom, words of betrayal. Then he shoved, hard, without hesitation. The wheelchair rolled forward, its wheels spinning faster, faster, until gravity pulled it over the edge. Her scream tore through the air, sharp, raw, desperate, a mother's final cry to a son who had turned his back on love. The sound cut short by the crashing wind below as she disappeared into the abyss. Everyone thought it was over. No witnesses, no proof, no justice. Just another tragic accident. Or so he believed. But he forgot one thing. Nature has eyes everywhere. On the ridge above, a German shepherd named Rex had been watching. Rex wasn't just a dog. He was her shadow, her protector, the only soul that truly understood her heart. For 12 years, he had walked beside her through every season of life, through her husband's death, through loneliness, through the slow realization that her own son had grown cold and cruel. Rex had seen the way the son looked at her lately, with contempt, with greed, waiting for inheritance, waiting for her to disappear. And now, as the sun broke through the clouds, casting harsh light on the terrible scene below, Rex's ears shot back. His muscles coiled like springs. His heart pounded with ancient instinct. Without a second thought, he exploded into motion, charging down the rocky slope like a force of nature, his paws pounding against stone, his eyes locked on the man who had just destroyed everything. The young man turned casually, smirking, phone already in his hand as if nothing had happened. He was probably composing a text, practicing his shocked voice for the 911 call, planning his alibi, counting his future millions. Too late. 100 pounds of fury slammed into him like a freight train, knocking him flat onto the cold, hard ground. The phone flew from his hand, skittering across the rocks. Rex pinned him hard, massive paws pressing into his chest, teeth bared just inches from his throat, hot breath, burning eyes, pure rage. The man froze, his confident smirk melting into terror. He tried to crawl away, scrambling backward on his elbows, designer suit tearing on the rough stone. But the shepherd's growl rumbled like thunder, like a warning from another world, a sound that said, "You will not escape this." Rex held him there, not biting, not killing, but making one thing perfectly clear. Justice was coming, and it had 4 legs. Then Rex spun around, racing back toward the cliff edge. He barked, loud, desperate, echoing for miles across the valley, a sound unlike anything he'd ever made before. Not a warning, not a threat, a plea, a prayer. Down below, the impossible had happened. The wheelchair hadn't fallen all the way. By some miracle, it had snagged on a dead tree wedged into the cliffside, its twisted roots clinging to rock like desperate fingers. The old woman was still alive, shaken, trembling violently, her frail hands clutching the branches above the raging river that roared just feet below her dangling legs. Rex planted himself at the very edge, eyes locked on her, barking again, frantic, piercing, refusing to stop. His voice carried across the valley to a pair of hikers on the opposite trail who had been enjoying the morning sunrise. They stopped, they looked, and when they saw the horror unfolding, they called for help immediately, their voices shaking as they described the scene. Minutes later, rescue ropes dropped down the cliffside. Strong hands pulled her to safety, her face wet with tears, her voice hoarse from screaming. She whispered one word over and over, clutching the rescuer's arm. "Rex. Where's Rex?" And her son. He didn't walk away. He couldn't. The hikers had heard everything from their vantage point, They'd seen him standing by the cliff edge, phone in hand, no panic, no concern. They'd heard Rex's desperate barking. They'd watched him try to run when the dog attacked. The police didn't need much more evidence than that. Rex stood by her side as she gave her statement at the hospital, and when she finally broke down, burying her face into his warm fur, sobbing with relief and grief and gratitude all at once, Rex let out a deep, shuddering breath, like he'd been holding it inside the whole time, like he'd carried the weight of the world and could finally let it go. Sometimes heroes don't wear badges. Sometimes they walk on 4 legs. Like, subscribe, and share.